Hi, and welcome to this recap video where I just briefly go over some minor region notes here that I went over today. There were no major region games, so I figured why not look at some minor region teams, just get a very, very brief tip of the iceberg, look at some of these teams and situations as we get to the nitty gritty here of the playoffs in these minor regions. If you haven't followed along with my content throughout this entire process, I do not watch minor regions play. I watched a few CBLOL games, just thought it was a good video idea this split, but I do not watch minor regions. All my minor region power rankings and things like that were made with an algorithm, which I had said every time I disclosed that 100% based off of MSI's results. Now, going into Worlds, the algorithm will be used again. Now, it'll be used, but in a different way. I'm going to use playoff stats and not regular season stats. I've used regular season stats for the power rankings during the regular split, obviously. But for Worlds predictions and things like that, I'm going to look at playoff stats because at least the bottom tier teams in that region will not influence the stats all that much. Now, all these situations up here I find very interesting. These are the ones I pointed out. You'll notice LCO is not on here. Chief Esports Club, who I have as the top team. Algorithmically, I do not believe that they are the top team necessarily, but algorithmically they are number one. They went, 40 and 2? Yeah, 40 and 2. And didn't go to MSI. They had lost to Order in the playoffs. They 3-0'd Order in the playoffs already, and they're waiting on the winner of Pentanet and Order to figure out who plays them in the finals of the LCO summer split to determine who goes to Worlds. So that's that. In these regions, though, I did watch these games. I felt like it was worthwhile to do so. Now, this morning, Team Secret and Saigon Buffalo played outright. GAM Esports are waiting on an opponent, I believe. Or they aren't waiting on their opponent, they're waiting to play. So Team Secret and Saigon Buffalo, this was an easy 3-0 for Saigon Buffalo. Absolutely destroyed Team Secret. And why this is important is because I believe Saigon Buffalo might have been the 3 seed, Team Secret the 2 seed. Saigon Buffalo were the 2 seed from Vietnam that ended up representing them at MSI because GAM Esports went to the Southeast Asia Games or the Asia Games and played there instead of going to MSI in Korea. Now, with this in mind, Saigon, like I said, completely demolished Team Secret. The first 2 games were very clean out of Saigon Buffalo. Game 2, absolute destruction. The bot lane getting ahead big time. Shogun and Taki are world-class bot laners. They set the tone for MSI, getting a 2v2 kill really early against T1, punching them in the mouth. I can't say it enough. I don't think Guma has been the same since. I really don't. Just absolute destruction. And saw in game 1, a lot of good movement out of Bean J, setting up bot lane to get ahead, setting up mid to get ahead, and doing well in that regard. Game 3 was kind of a mess, but they also got cute with draft. And I think, from what I understand about the VCS, a lot of teams like to int games away. They like to experiment in games that really don't matter to them. And maybe game 3 in a best of 5 that they're up 2-0 easily, Saigon Buffalo kind of got cute and relaxed and complacent against TS, and that's probably why that happened. And they still came away with the win. So in the end, they win. But I think that does have to be noticed going into an event where hopefully they do not find themselves being complacent off of scrims and things like that. Like that sort of attitude is not going to do well internationally. You will lose games against the elite of the elite in every region. You cannot take your foot off the gas, especially in a play-ins that is going to include 2 European teams, North America, LCK, and LPL. One of those 5 teams are supposed to go home. So, if one of those 5 teams are going home outright, or has the LPL got all 4 in Worlds? Damn it, I don't recall. Either way. somebody's going home that I think, honestly, Vietnam could push for it. Saigon Buffalo are good enough. I think that their bot lane is better than XL's bot lane if they get in, Misfits bot lane, Rogue's bot lane. I think that they're better than 100. Yeah, probably better than 100 Thieves bot lane. I think TL's bot lane on a good day can compete, and I think they're better than C9's bot lane. And then when you look at LPL and LCK, I think that they are, you know, they're probably at like a DRX level. I don't think that they would do very well against. Well, DK's bot lane isn't all that great, although they played well recently. I could see Saigon Buffalo giving Dom 1's bot lane a run. But outside of that, I really don't. Think Saigon Buffalo has an edge on the others, obviously. In CBLOL, we got Furia, Loud, and Pain Gaming. Red are about to play, Furia for the right to play Loud. And Pain Gaming are in the finals waiting for all of that to be finished. Pain beat Furia pretty close games. Furia won game 1 in a big way. Games 2 and 3, Pain Gaming won with team fighting, like big team fights around Drake to secure wins. It seemed like their team fighting was the way that they got back into games. Objective control. Against Loud, it was very similar. Game 5 going heavily to Pain, but the first 4 games were actually close. And honestly, it looks like CBLOL is closer than we thought. I don't know how Red Cannons really fit into this. From what I recall, they did struggle a bit in the mid towards the end of the split, as Loud really took over and did very well. Loud Croc apparently, I think, was like the spring MVP or really close to it for Netshoe Miners. He's on Loud now and doing very well. I thought that Loud's bot lane was kind of lackluster, especially against Pain, which makes sense. Pain's bot lane is solid, is very solid. And Furia Esports, I mean, the team fighting in the end, they struggled. And this is how playoffs are. With close games, you need to show up. And hopefully Furia is not having their playoff jitters they've had in the past creep in on them and cause them to make mistakes. Because I guess people have told me, Brazilian fans, that Furia Esports has been good in the regular split before. And then when push comes to shove in the playoffs, they disappear. Sengoku Gaming and Detonation Focus Me. If you watched yesterday's video where I did my wrap-up of the minor regions and the top 5 players in every role statistically, I had DFM winning. So, there's a couple reasons for that, and I said it yesterday. I think Detonation Focus Me in a best of 5 has a better chance against Sengoku Gaming. Now, I watched their last game against each other, and it was actually very close. But Sengoku Gaming played a style that made a lot of sense. They went into bot lane, got bot lane ahead with Lucian Nami. Very, very solid pathing by the jungler to get them ahead. I think it was on a Poppy. And objective control was a big emphasis, and it makes sense because when I think of Detonation Focus Me's stats, right, and we look at them from afar, they look like a very clean, macro, slow-paced team. In the end, they allow their team fighting to win them games, right? But Sengoku Gaming, at least in this case, and they went 2-0 against them. I don't know how the first win was, but they emphasized Drakes. They ran to Soul Point at 17 minutes. It was contested, but they took it. And actually, when they took Soul, the kills were tied 12-12. But Sengoku Gaming were able to win. They had the Soul, they had the objectives, and Detonation Focus Me had not really made anything happen up until that point, and that's why they lost the game. So that is concerning. DFM's players have very elite stats in lane and things like that, and team fighting. But if they aren't, their lanes, like they're getting ahead in lane because they're not getting objectives. And against worse teams, that's fine because they win the team fight at the end, they win the game. But if they aren't getting objectives and people figure out, well, hey, if we go after them early game, if we emphasize going in on early game against this team, we will win. I could see Sengoku Gaming beating DFM. They have an LCK mid laner. They have an LCK bot laner. I mean, Jet in mid is no slouch. And he played a Yone into Yaharung and did very well on it. And I feel like that is the type of Smash Mouth champion that really could punch them in the mouth. And really good performance. Now, Isurus Gaming and Astral. Astral beat Isurus 3-1. And then Isurus just won in the, I believe, over Team Ace, possibly, in the loser bracket. Now will face Astral this weekend for the right to go to Worlds, I think this weekend. Astral's been atop the board pretty much all split long, actually all year long. They lost a couple players after spring, but still returned to form with players that not many people heard of. I hadn't heard of. And, their jungler is a big emphasis. Boogie's really good. Achi in top lane seems solid. Really good team. Looking at them, though, I don't know how well their style of play will win them games at Worlds. I think about it. It is very slow, methodical. Detonation Focus Me plays this way. Some games, really, I don't think had any kills in the first 10 minutes. Very close games, and then slowly Astral would get a kill here, get a kill there. And by 20 minutes, had a 3-4K gold lead and did not blow it. The team that they were against was not capable, in this case, Isurus Gaming, of coming back. Game 3 was messy, but Game 4, they returned to that form of slow and steady wins the race. Kind of surprising, really, because I remember Boogie's stats being extremely high for a jungler, very carry-oriented, I think, 50 kills or something in a few games last week, or tons of big games out of him. Honestly, I would not be shocked, and I said it yesterday, I think he's the player to watch as a player that might end up in the LCS next year, because, Jose's about to leave, or possibly leave to Heretics, is rumored. And putting up numbers the way he does, I could see it happening. I could really see it happening. Just the way they play, though, is very clean, and Isurus does not play clean enough to get it done. And maybe that's why Astral is doing as well as they are. They just play slow and steady, wins the race. Now, Nasser Esports Turkey, very similar. I watched only one game against Istanbul Wildcats, and they blew it open. They really did, but it was slow at first. And just a really good team. Chieftain was playing Rek'Sai, and for some reason that sticks out to me, because it wasn't against Lee Sin, it was against Trundle. And I feel like he played a lot of Rek'Sai in the LPL when he kind of shouldn't have. And I wonder if things like that are going to be taken advantage of at an international event. Now, don't get me wrong, I think that at first he gets away with it because people aren't going to expect him to play Rek'Sai when it isn't meta. But is that going to get the job done? Bong has looked really good in top lane. I saw Bululu playing Vel'Koz, and that's something that makes a lot of sense. You look at Bululu's numbers, very, very high damage output, very good KDA, a carry mid laner for them. This against Istanbul Wildcats, Holy Phoenix playing Samira when Samira isn't meta makes so much sense because the guy only plays a few champions. That was the thing at MSI. It was like, hey, let's just ban his champion pool and he's screwed. So that's the thing kind of with Nasser Turkey. I said it, people say I give him a lot of crap, but your top competition is, we know what your top competition's limitations are. So I think that there are limitations on Nasser Turkey as well, but they're just able to take advantage of IWs. Chieftain has played in the 4 major regions before, like I said, in the LPL, so it's disrespectful to say that he is a complete minor region jungler, because he's not. I've had a Turkish fan, compare him and Balkan before, and similar players in terms of where they are now in minor regions. And but I don't have either one quite at Arthur's level from Chief. But we'll see how Nasser does at Worlds if they can get out. I imagine they will. But the Wildcats in best of fives have a chance. You can't rule them out. You really can't rule them out. They've been in best of fives for a long time. This team has been through it, where Nasser Turkey really hasn't been outside of Bululu. So that is important. Now, Deep Cross Gaming and PSG. Actually, the game I watched was from week 4. So I don't know if it's 3 weeks ago or not. 4 weeks ago or something. But Deep Cross won this one, and it's interesting to think about because it was a lot to do with the top lane. And I have mentioned, when it comes to Deep Cross Gaming, that Leaky in top lane, I believe, was the top-rated top laner in my previews for the PCS. Which was weird, because Hanabi is really good for PSG. But Leaky actually gapped Hanabi. Hanabi playing Gragas, Leaky playing Mordekaiser. And Leaky led them to victory, and honestly, I'm not shocked by that. I recall their solo lanes being solid. I don't have J-Team up here because J-Team, as far as I'm concerned, with 6-player roster, you are not going to succeed internationally that way. Some people might say, well, this team has 6 men, this team has 6 men. It was almost every series that it felt like J-Team were swapping out Rock and Driver in top lane, or Rest and Driver. I forget if it's Rock or Rest. Either way, swapping them out all the time, splitting scrims, that is not going to get the job done. I do think PSG has the edge for sure, but they lost this one outright. Leaky outplayed them, dealing a ton of damage from the top lane, being a nuisance on Mordekaiser, forcing QSS buys and things like that, and that's the sort of thing that gets you an advantage. So that was best of 1s, though. We'll see how Deep Cross Gaming does in best of 5s. We'll see how PSG does in best of 5s. Bury looking very good in the early game for them in that one, getting ahead on a Poppy, getting his team ahead. Gory was the top-rated mid laner in the minor region, on the video yesterday, taking advantage of his opportunity in the PCS after playing in the LCK and LPL. So that's a thing. But, like the video if you like it. Comment down below with your opinions on these teams. Obviously, this is only scratching the surface of these teams, and we'll see how they look for the rest of the split going into Worlds. I probably won't talk about these guys until, Worlds preview videos start, which should start, what's today, 24th? They might start tomorrow, honestly. We have a few teams already in, obviously G2, Top, T1, Gen G. Those might be the 4, but we'll have JDG. We'll have teams. We'll start going over Worlds previews for the big dogs that are already in. So thank you for watching. Like the video if you like it. Go to the Discord if you would like. The link is in the description. And hope you come back for more content.